So the topic is macronutrients, ratios, percentages. Is there any value to any of these being tracked? What utility do they have? When should they be used? And why perhaps should they not be used? Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a topic I want to go through very succinctly, but hopefully it will all make sense to you guys by the time you've actually finished this video. What I notice time and time again when I'm speaking with different people on the carnivore diet is that they are trying to adhere to a very specific macronutrient ratio, percentage, amount. Now, this can be useful for some people in perhaps the beginning phases of their carnivore dietary journey or their intervention. However, the issue is these are just ratios. They do not specify how much is needed on a case-by-case basis. What surprises me is that there are people out there that have been doing this diet for perhaps more than 1 year and they are still calculating things very specifically. This in of itself is a stress, and it kind of detracts from the purpose of the carnivore diet, which is to improve mental and physical well-being. If you are obsessing over these things for the sake of counting, there's not much point. Now, of course, I am guilty of tracking my own macronutrient intakes, but I'm never specifically going for an exact ratio or percentage of different macronutrients. I'm giving my body the exact nutrition that it needs to perform. So this means I'm giving it a set protein and fat gram amount. Your body has specific requirements for each of these, and the crossover between them in terms of grams should never be the end point of your diet. Your diet should never have to have 1.5 grams of fat in relation to the amount of protein. If you think logically about it, and people approach me with this kind of thing all the time. Oh, my diet is 1-to-1. Yeah, 1-to-1 of what? Okay, your protein is 150, your fat is 150. Okay, but I'm only guessing that. It could also be 400 and 400. That could be the obvious reason why someone is significantly over fat. So in that case, it is not a useful way to tell someone what they're eating. I'm a proponent of the mass balance model, or the mass in, mass out model. So when people also talk to me about calories, I'm also bewildered. Now, the calories topic is for another day. In fact, if you are really interested in learning about what I think about it for some reason, I do have several videos, perhaps 3, 4, 5 hours worth of discussions talking specifically about why calorie intake is, at least in measuring it, daft. If you want to watch those, I'll link some of them below. If you are ultimately concerned about reaching specific ratios or percentages on a carnivore diet, you are by default incapable of understanding your body's own individual needs. When we are eating a species-specific diet, our body will release leptin and ghrelin in order for us to understand what we do or don't need more or less of. These are hormones that have been built into us to increase and decrease as per requirement of our body to meet its function, its daily output. Now, if we eat too much fat, we will get fat. If we eat too much protein, we'll probably suffer ill effects, but eventually we will get fat. That is the hard truth of it. Now, if we are trying to avoid our body's own hunger signals and replace them with trying to adhere to specific macronutrient ratios and percentages, we're actually taking a step backwards in our body's own evolutionary adaptive mechanisms. We're actually making our bodies worse. There is not one calculator on the planet that exists right now that enables us to override our body's own intuition. Now, this is something I've learned specifically from Professor Bart Kay. It kind of makes sense. I mean, otherwise historically we'd all be really fat or all be really skinny. But it seems to be that we have a unique, individual, specific, homeostatic set point that we need to have in order to perform given tasks. Now, someone that requires more body fat will have a diet that matches that. they might actually eat a lot of food. You know? Now, if we're trying to get to a goal that is perhaps unsustainable, then we're not going to meet that by following a ratio percentage. We might get there, but it's going to be significantly harder for us to do if we're ignoring our own body's signals. In some cases, such as in physique competition like bodybuilding, we'll have to follow specific macronutrient guidelines or amounts. However, these grams of food are individual to us. There are some unique circumstances when someone will have a emotionally driven, kind of dysregulated appetite, in which case that person should seek professional help. They might speak to Pim Johnson. They might speak to one of the other carb addiction kind of people online. There is help out there. There are free resources out there. It is your job and responsibility as a human being to reach your own health goals. To do that, speak to the people that provide that information. Now, on the flip side, if we're going to ignore our body's own intuitive hunger signals, we'll end up by default having to track our food intake. The problem is there, if we are too rigid, we may almost try too hard, and that may be a stress to us. So that might mean that that dietary intervention at the given time is not as useful, it is not as effective. I know lots of people that try to reach specific macronutrient gram amounts in order to achieve a specific body composition or health goal. However, if we keep driving down or up those numbers in one direction, our body will eventually fight us back. How hard our body will fight us back is individual and unique to us. So to conclude this short talk, the carnivore diet does have its merits. But the thing is, I think a lot of people out there are really bastardizing it. They're making something so simple, so blissfully easy to adhere to, really, really, really complicated. And it doesn't have to be. If you're out there and you're still trying to follow these, ratios, percentages, but ignoring the grams of food that you're taking in, and also ignoring your own body's intuitive hunger signals, you've still not reached your goal. You don't have food freedom. Now, I hope this short video was useful to you guys. Hopefully it's given you a bit of information, a bit of food for thought perhaps. We don't have to be exact, but we should aim to sort of reach our own body's natural state that we need to perform given tasks in a day. Now, I'm not going to go here and say everything has to be perfect, this, that and the other. We all go off plan. I don't actually think I've ever met anyone on the carnivore diet that does not go off plan. But ultimately, we are dealing with our own health journey, our own body composition goals. So we have to have goals that match that objective. If you want to talk to me about specific goals for you, what can be achieved, how you're going to do it, consult with me online. I do have very affordable consultations, diet training plans, everything you probably need to reach your own goals. Now, contact me with the link below, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Cheers.